I have bought 6 homes using the VA loan. I made every mistake in the book, refinanced my way out of wealth, sold properties that I should have kept, and almost went bankrupt. Here are the 3 rules that I wish someone had given me before I bought my first home. So, I'm Danny Barker. I'm a real estate agent in San Diego, California. I served 20 years in the Navy as a nuclear mechanic. I got lots of bonuses. I was buying and selling real estate all the way through. I was leaving properties and putting tenants like I was supposed to do. And then things started happening. And I had to think, man, looking back, had I followed some rules, if I had some structure, right, not just financially, but actually mindset wise, then maybe I would have picked better houses. Maybe I would have picked better purchases. Maybe I would have chosen better properties, knowing what I'm knowing now going into the market. So here we go. If I would have had these 3 rules when I was 20 years old, today we wouldn't be having this happening right now, because right now I'm a real estate agent. But if 25 years ago I would have had these 3 rules, I wouldn't need to be doing this for a living. So God bless us all. I was put here for a reason. I came up on your feed for a reason. Let's get into it. So the 3 rules, it's just simple 3 rules. First rule: always buy what you can afford. And I don't mean just the mortgage payment. I mean the mortgage, the property tax, the insurance, and the maintenance. Because everything in this house has a lifespan. Every single thing. The roof, it's a long lifespan, right? They're making 50-year roofs now. So you got 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, 25s. I don't know of any that are less than 20, but if you run into one, I'm sorry, that wasn't planned for. The HVAC, right? Heating and ventilation and air conditioning. These systems are not meant to last forever. They're not built to last forever. By all means, if you're here in California, it's from one refrigerant to the next refrigerant to the next refrigerant. My old units that were on my house, built to my house at 23 years old, they were perfectly fine, except I needed to replace a part. Well, replacing that part was going to make me have to recharge the whole system with new Freon. That old Freon from 1999 that they were allowed to use in 1999, well, in 2023 was so expensive that the guy said, look, I'm going to have to charge the system, test for the leaks, find the leaks, discharge the system. We're going to lose some on that. Not all of it. I can recapture, but I can't recapture it all. So we're going to recapture what we can, and then we're going to push back in once the repair is done. This is going to cost you multiple thousands of dollars. So I ended up changing the whole system. Now, let's not get too far down any rabbit hole, but the water heater, the same way. The appliances in the kitchen, the washer and dryer, the kitchen itself, the cabinets, the countertops, the backsplash, the plumbing, the sink, the fixtures, the faucet, the lighting. It's everywhere, in your bedrooms, outside, and gosh, what about the yard? What about the pool? All of those things all go into what you can afford. Now that we covered that, that tells you what not to buy. Don't buy anything that you can't afford. But what about the positive side to rule number 1? Rule number 1 isn't always so negative. Always buy what you can afford. Meaning, if you can afford to buy real estate today, buy more real estate today. Why? Because when the next rise of appreciation comes, and we know it moves fast in short periods of time, and we don't know when those times are coming, so you got to own, and it takes 30 to 45 to 60 days to find and procure and be the owner of a property. So it's something you got to be ahead of. So in order to stay ahead, the positive side to always buy what you can afford is, if you're in any way, shape, or form having extra money in your personal life, then let's decide to put it to work. Let's see if it's time. We go get a pre-approval and you find out this is my budget. And then let's go see if there's anything on the market that meets rule number 1 and 2 and 3. Now let's get into rule number 2. Buy what you would be happy to live in. The positive side to that is you'll never, ever, ever own a property that you would be like, I wouldn't live there, but I'm glad it makes me money. Right? That's a slumlord. We're not trying to be slumlords. We're trying to be the real deal here. Now, let me take a break. All right, I'm back. I needed a little bit of water on that one. So, we don't want to be slumlords. We do want to own property for a long period of time, because over that period of time, whatever we borrowed to buy it gets paid off, and whatever the other people are willing to pay in the future, which is usually about 4% more every single year. If it was a straight line, we don't, it's not a straight line, but the point is, go out and be in there more, because next time real estate comes up, you want to have one more place in your portfolio that jumps up. Or you might be in a situation where it's time to sell this property that's not going to operate very well, but we did good because we got a lot of equity in there, and we're going to leverage that equity into the next property. Or we can just take that equity, invest it smartly over here, and that right there, that money right there now becomes a microeconomy outside of your economy that can take care of your future purchases inside of this real estate portfolio that we are about to build. All right. So the negative side to rule number 2 is becoming that slumlord, right? No matter what, if you're making choices just based off of money, you're buying property that you wouldn't be happy to live in, you're really setting yourself up to be disappointed, to be upset, to hear about, oh, another vacancy, I can't get anybody to live there. Well, no doy. It takes 3 months to find a new tenant. No duh. You don't want to live there. Who do you expect to be your tenant, right? So rule number 1 is always buy what you can afford. Rule number 2 is buy what you would be happy to live in and live in it. You're going to be great. So now, finally, rule number 3. Love something about the property. Because remember, in the end of rule number 2, I was telling you that this property is going to call on you. $500 for that, $1,200 for that, $14,000 for that. God forbid, $40,000 for that. What are you going to do? Holy smokes, that's a whole new kitchen. But what if your tenant just tore the kitchen up and you're saying, well, maybe I have insurance. Well, maybe the insurance says, nah, we're not going to do it. Or maybe they drag their feet and now you're calculating it. Man, it's going to take 18 months for the insurance to get this kitchen fixed. We're going to lose X amount, 18 months of rent in between this time and when it gets fixed. Maybe we need to do something about it right now, right? That's the time that you need to love something about the property. If you love everything about the property, it's great, but not everything, something. A view, a kitchen, the proximity to the base or the fun stuff, the yard, the neighborhood. That one thing that you love is going to get you through the hardest days of ownership that are still to come. Yes, it's difficult to buy, but it's so much more difficult to own. I call it being a good steward. If you're a good steward to your property becomes your flock. And what happens when a shepherd takes good care of his flock? It grows and it's healthy and it pays, right? So here's the deal. If you're a veteran and you want to make sure that you're set up with the right strategy and the right team, I'm talking about the lender, the realtor, and everyone in between, before you go shopping, visit DannyBarkerRealtor.com. DannyBarkerRealtor.com. And let's build this roadmap together. We're going to start with a 1-hour meeting. At the end of that hour meeting, you're going to know exactly what, when, and where to buy it. Or we're going to set up our next meeting and we're going to keep having these meetings until one of these meetings ends with what, where, and when. And they could be a couple of days apart. They could be a couple of months apart. They could be a couple of years apart. I am here for y'all to strategize with and make sure that you're doing business with well-performing realtors and lenders and everyone in between. All right, I look forward to meeting with you. DannyBarkerRealtor.com.